Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone. Just like to remind you that ProQuest, we are really a global information content and technology organization. We are based in Ann Arbor, Michigan in US, and we have a lot of offices around the globe. As you know that we provide a lot of research solutions for universities, hospitals, and government organizations. And we are considered as a leader aggregator, okay? So we provide a lot of content to researchers and users, and we have a lot of relationships and agreements with thousands of publishers around the world. So based on our intensive knowledge of publishing industry, we gather the information that I'm going to share with you today. This will provide some kind of guidance on how to publish in academic journals. The presentation I'm planning to give is actually targeting librarians, postgraduate students, early career researchers, and also faculty members who would like to start their publishing career. This is really not for experienced people, experienced researchers and faculty members who have a lot of experience in publishing. Okay? So let me introduce myself to you again. My name is Shoaib, and I'm really have the honor to be with you today. As you know, I'm responsible for all training and consultation activities in Middle East, Africa, and Pakistan region at ProQuest, and I'm based in Dubai. This is my cell phone number and my email address. Please feel free to reach me at any time if you have any question related to ProQuest. I'm also happy to have with me today my colleague Samantha Bennett. She's our also training and consulting partner covering Middle East and Africa. And she will be helped managing the session with me and answer all your questions. As usual, I will start with my objectives. Hopefully, after we finish this session, you will be able to apply some kind of basic standard rules for getting your article published. You will know the publishing workflow and the peer review process. I will let you know, and I will explain this in more details. I will also open your eyes to the open access publishing and the benefits, and you will see that if it will be okay or not for you. We'll also try to provide some kind of information and guidance on how to detect and avoid the predatory publishers. And also, we will show you how you can count on our resources, ProQuest resources, which will really help you in your journey to authoring. So I will start now by giving you the 5 tips for getting published. Before we start, there is some phrase is known now. It's called publish or perish. This is actually a phrase that describes the pressure in you in academia to rapidly and continually publish academic work to sustain one's career. So you have a lot of pressure that you need to publish. You need to publish. Without publishing, you cannot grow. You cannot become senior. You cannot have more money, etc. So unfortunately, this leads to a lot of people, they will think only about publishing regardless of the quality of their paper. This is very, very important. You really need to publish a quality paper, not just for the sake of publishing. So now this will lead us to the 1 million question. Why we need to publish? There is a lot of things you can think about. You can say that it will improve your writing and research skills. It will upgrade your knowledge. It will recognize your research, and people will look into your research as something very, very good. And also it will give you the chance to connect with professors and researchers from all over the world, from Pakistan and outside. Also, it will give you some kind of appreciation to your work. And you will be well known. And of course, it will help you grow in your career. So these are the things that people are thinking about when they publish. Now, let's talk about the 5 tips for getting published. First of all, you need to know your field, of course. I will talk about every single one of these in more details, just like along the presentation. Secondly, you need to pick the right journal. This is very important. Also, you need to write well. I will really emphasize here, and I will provide more details on this write well kind of thing. Also, you need to follow the submission rules. And finally, you need to accept the feedback and revise. Okay, so let's start with the first one, know your field. So before you publish, you really need to read and read and read. You need to just keep reading, read journals related to your field. You need to know your field inside out. This is in any case part of the research process. And you also need to ask yourself, what is the contribution I want to make? Okay, who's going to be interested in my research? Also, some of the things also you need to consider is it's actually a bad sign if you don't recognize anyone, any member of the editorial board of the journal that you are going to publish with, okay? Because when you know the editorial board, this will help you know their style, and you will know that if your work in similar quality, okay? One of the things, and the easiest actually ways to be like as starting your publishing career is by doing book reviews. Book reviews are really the easiest way to get published, and also in most cases you will get a free copy of a book. So these are the things that we need to start in order to recognize your field and to know your field. From our side, how we can help you? We can, if you already attended one of my sessions about the ProQuest databases, you'll know that in ProQuest platform, we have this kind of alert, create alerts. So by creating alerts, you will force ProQuest to provide you with the latest and the up-to-date information related to your field and to your interest. Also, we have a database called Pivot. So Pivot will help you build your network of scholars and also see any publishing opportunities. I will talk about this in just like in a few minutes. So also, some of the things that will help you get or start publishing is you really need to define your topic. So you need to consider like a topic may be refer to a subject area. It could be a controversy like drones, a problem issue like coronavirus, you know, the biggest problem in the whole universe now. Or even it can be an interest or pastime like video games and the effect on adults or kids or children. So these are the things that it will help you define your topic. And also your goal should be to find a gap in the research, okay? So that you can add something new or different to the conversation. Also, you don't need to really pick a research question that no one has written anything about. The key for you is to find a question that hasn't been definitely answered. Either maybe because the scholars disagree on what the answer is, or because the answer is not supported by adequate research. Some of the things you need to really think about that you don't need to write a question or write a research about something that it has widely accepted answer, right? If everyone is agreed that this is the situation or this is the answer to a specific problem, why I really need to write the same thing? Why I need to change this? Your paper should address a topic that it is still up for debate. And one of the main things that you need to count on when start writing your paper is you need to define and see where you can find useful information for you. Okay, you need to locate and evaluate the sources and the resources available for you. And something very, very important is that you need to ask your librarians. You need to go to the university library, ask your librarians for help. They can guide you in the resources. They can even guide you in defining your topic. So please do not hesitate to contact your librarian. I told you about the things about how you can create alert and how alert can be keep you updated. So it's just a matter that when you go to our ProQuest platform, you can click on create alert here. And you can just set this up that to receive an alert every week, every month, every 2 months. So this, in this case, you'll be really updated with whatever new thing added to ProQuest platform and published recently. So you'll be familiar with all your research-related materials. And also for Pivot, Pivot is a database that it will help you discover future collaborations with peer researchers. And also it will help you search for available funding opportunities and calls for paper in your subject area. At the moment, Pivot is available only for HEC admins, but you can speak to them to see if they can give you access to this valuable resource. Now let's move to the second part. The second thing is you need to pick the right journal. So as you know, like absolutely every guide you read on academic publishing, they will tell you how important it is to pick the right journal. There is something you can consider here. Things to help you is actually one of the things I can recommend is you can check the references to see in which journals the research you are citing mainly falls. So basically, when I do my research, when I count on a lot of resources, let's check the journals where these resources are in. So I can start by knowing these journals and maybe I can approach them. for the opportunity to publish with them. And also, there's something very important to know, that every one of us would like to publish in the highest ranked, in the best journal in their field, like American Historical Review or Annals of Mathematics. But we need to consider, and you need to know that not the biggest journals are always the best option for your first publication, because your rejection rate will be very high. You need to know that if I'm just started now, I really need to go to a reasonable kind of journal where my chances to get published are high. Okay? Also, there is a lot of tools that you can use to help you analyze and pick the right journals. Something I can recommend is like SciMango, Journal and Country Rank. It's a place, just go to Google and search for SciMango, and you'll find a lot of information. And the information available in SciMango is actually based on Scopus. And also we have this Google Scholar Metrics. Google Scholar Metrics will give like the top 100 journal in its subjects. So you can count on these two places to identify key journals in your field. From our side, from ProQuest, what we can do, you can easily just use the publication search to search for your specific journal or the journals which are mainly in your subject areas, so you can count on them and you can approach them. And also we have a database called OryxWeb. It's like really provide a lot of information to locate journals relevant to your field. You can consider the following factors actually when selecting your journal. You need to think about the aims and scope of your journal, the journal that you want to pick. It's like publish similar to the your research and your manuscript. The readership level, also you need to make sure that the people who are reading this journal is actually your audience, the one that you want to target, and you need them to read your research paper. Indexing, okay, where this journal is indexed. So you really need to think about the journals that indexing in prestigious places and places that your audience can access without any problem. Open access, also this will increase your chance to get published, and I will talk about open access in more details in just like a few minutes. Publishing frequency, so how often that this journal is publishing articles. The more frequent, like let's say like every quarter or every 2 months, the better, because in this case that people, it is more likely that people will read your article and you'll get cited and people will really recognize your work. And also the acceptance rate. You need to know that a lot of journals, they have a specific acceptance rate, and it varies from one journal to another. And just to give you an idea, for example, the Nature or even BMJ. BMJ is a well-known journal for medical, British Medical Journal. Their acceptance rate is around 4% or 5% only. So they reject more than 95% of the work submitted to them. So you really need, especially at the beginning, try to really go, as I mentioned, to a reasonable kind of journal in order to increase your chances for getting accepted. Now, let's talk about how the journal publication workflow is and how the peer review process is made. So basically, let's consider that this is you. You wrote your paper and your manuscript is now ready and you want to send it to your journal. So you will submit your journal, and the journal, they will do some kind of initial screening to the manuscript. They will see if it is really fit their criteria, their subject field, their guideline. If no, they will send you a rejection letter. If yes, they will just like start the peer review process. The peer review process is basically they will send your manuscript to people with more knowledge to your field, experience in your field. They should be like 2 and more. They will go through your research. They will read it. They will see if it's like accurate information, up to date, it is right or wrong, and then they will provide their feedback back to the journal. Okay, the feedback basically one of 4 cases: rejection, complete rejection. So sorry, this is really not good. So they will send you and tell you that basically, sorry, we cannot accept your paper because it got rejected. Or it will be, they will accept it with minor changes. They will ask you to do some small changes to your manuscript. Or maybe they will accept it with major revision. They will ask you to do a lot of changes in order this to be fully accepted. or they will accept it without any comment. And this is very, very, very rare, honestly speaking. Most of the manuscripts, they will come back with some notes and some comments, which is normal. So then, based on that, if we consider that they accepted your paper with some revisions, the journal will send this back to you and it will ask you that please just do the following revisions, and then you will submit it again to the journal. Maybe the journal will send it to around 2 of peer review. Otherwise, it will decide if they think that, if they see that everything is already compliant with the notes, with the revisions, they will accept or reject based on their final decision. So this is basically how the journal publication workflow is and how the peer review is done. So now, just you need to know exactly that sometimes the ideal time from submission to review is maybe 3 to 4 months. And sometimes it will take 1 or 2 years, honestly speaking. You really need to know these kind of information. This is very important for you and important for your career growth, okay? So this is for your information. Now, for us, or from us, ProQuest, if you go to ProQuest platform, you'll see this peer-reviewed option. So in this case, we'll help you just like look into the materials coming from peer-reviewed journals. So this will help you even go to these journals and consider them as one of the journals that I can count on or I can contact to publish my research paper. Okay. Now, if you hear me, I talk about the open access. Let's talk more about the open access. So what is the open access? Open access is actually a publishing model that make research information available to readers at no cost. Okay, this is like opposite, or this is different than the traditional subscription model where you as end user or readers, you need to pay for a subscription. So there is like a lot and several variants of open access publishing, okay? And different publishers, they may use one or more of these variants. So I will just talk about the most popular ones. The first one is the gold open access. The second one is the green open access. And the gold open access, we have 2 kind of types. The first one is what we call the full open access journals. So in this case, that you will really publish in a platform which is completely open access. It gives full open access to anyone, okay? But you need to pay what we call article processing charges, APCs. And these charges, these will be paid by you or by your institution. So some institution, they will help their authors by paying these article processing charges. So you'll pay, and then after they finish everything and make sure that this is okay, they will publish it for you, and they will publish it in a complete open access platform. The other type of the gold open access is basically what we call the hybrid journal. So you will publish in a hybrid journal, which is a subscription journals, but in these subscription journals, there is some publication or individual articles will come to be accessed freely, so open access, okay? But you still need to pay the article processing charge, and after they accept your paper, they will charge, or they will submit, or they will publish your work on their open access version, or on the journals or article which are available for open access. So these 2 are actually under the gold open access route. So now let's talk about the green open access route. The green open access route that you will publish in a subscription-based journal, okay? And it depends on your agreement with the publisher. The publisher, everyone, they have their own, some kind of structure or policy. They will give you a copy of the accepted work, and they will ask you that you can, actually, you can publish it in your institution repository. And the final version will be available after sometimes as free, but basically it will be available on a paid subscription journal for sometimes, and maybe after like 6 months, 1 year, it depends on the policy, they will make it available for free. This is the green open access route in general. So when we are talking about the open access and these kind of things, this will lead us to really something which is the predatory journals and publishings. So because sometimes it is it may seem like it is easier for you to pay to publish the article processing charge than get paid to publish in the hybrid or in the, subscription-based journals. So unfortunately, there are some publishers, and these publishers will take your money and publish your article regardless of its quality. These journals and publishers, we call them predatory journals and predatory publishers. Okay, these publishers will say that, yeah, we have a really peer review process in place, and it is a well-known and organized kind of publishing process, and they will just take your money, and unfortunately, they will publish your work regardless of the quality of your work. And this is very, very, very bad, and this will really destroy your reputation. So it is very important for you to know about these predatory journals and do not publish with them. So how you can tell that this is a predatory journal or it is an open access journal? So there's a lot of tools can help you. One of the things that you can count on is what we call Bill's List. So Bill's List, that just go to Google and search for Bill's List. They set some kind of criteria to define the predatory journals and publishers. Like there's something that they will look into the rule quality, and they will see also the clarity, if it's okay or not, if the publisher is using really a lot of spam emails, etc. So they have a lot of criteria, as you can see here. I just listed the criteria. And if the journal is really using these kind of things, so they will be defined as a predatory journal, and you can avoid them. So the question will be like really how we can avoid these predatory journals and how we can target the open access authorized kind of journals and trusted kind of journals. So what you can do is you can really, like, one of the things that I can advise you is just be aware of this Bill's criteria. Go to Bill's criteria and check. If you are planning to publish in a journal X, just go and see if it is really listed in Bill's List. So this means that it is a predatory journal, so I can avoid it. Also, you can use your own subject knowledge and network. Ask your colleagues, did you hear about this journal? Is it like a trusted journal or it's a predatory journal? This is very, very important. And also, you can use some aggregation sites. These sites, they screen the open access journals and they put the trusted ones, and they made them available, and they highlighted these trusted open access journals. One of the things that you can count on is the directory of open access journal, and also the ProQuest publicly available content database, which you already have access to. So if you can use the mixture of all these three things, you will be hopefully fine, and you will avoid the predatory journals, and you will be published with a trusted open access journal. So as I mentioned, from us, you have access to this amazing also database. It's called ProQuest Publicly Available Content Database. We put here information for from more than 3,000 open access journals. So if your journal is one of these, so you'll be sure that it is a right and trusted journal and not a predatory journal. Okay, so I told you before that things which we can help you with to determine the right journal for you is you can use the publication search on ProQuest platform. You can just go to the publication tab, and you can search for your interested subject and limit to the publishers and the scholarly journals. And from there, you can count and see what are the journals related to your field, and maybe you can start contacting them. Also, you can do an advanced search and limit to the scholarly journals and see all the publication titles which are related to your field, and then you can maybe consider them as a starting place to see and to target these journals in order to publish your work with them. And this is the Oryx Web, as I mentioned. This is a database which has like thousands of journals with all the information related to the subject, place of publication, etc. And you can count on this amazing database to find the right journal for you. Okay, so now let's move to the third part, our third tips, how to get your article published or your work published. The third one is write well. You need to respect your audience. You really need to use a proper English, a very easy to understand way, not something, not like you write with a really, some kind of special or hard to understand kind of language. You need to really respect your audience, okay? And you need to convey your message to them in a very easy way. Also, it is better to ask one of your colleagues to check your work. Just ask for their feedback. What do you think about my language? What do you think about my paper? Is it okay? What do you think? Also, you need to really remember the words counting, and I will talk about this in more details when I spoke about when I speak about the uh, guideline, the guideline and submission guideline of the journal. So you really need to know that sometimes somehow the average number of words to be used in a journal is between 6,000 and 12,000, while if you are talking about dissertation and theses, it's between 80,000 to 100,000. Okay, this is also something good to consider. One of the things that will help you really write well and to get your paper accepted is you really need to write a good abstract. A lot of publishers, a lot of journals, they will just open the abstract and see, and they will just count on it to continue reading your research or not. So this is also something good to consider. Just please remember, do not write and edit at the same time. Just finish your work, and then you can start editing it and do it in a better way, okay? Because if you start writing and editing at the same time, you will end up with a lot of problems and a lot of delay. From our side, what we can do is, if you remember on ProQuest platform, I spoke about my research, your own profile on ProQuest platform. So on my research, you can just see if you found some good articles with good structure and writing, you can just add them to your my research, and you can add your own comments that this is really, the language is very simple, so I can use similar kind of structure in my work. So this is, from our side, we can help you with the my research kind of help. In general, if you want to consider any article, there is some structures or structure you can follow in order to make sure that your article or your manuscript is written in a very good way. And this we just put them and summarize them by the acronym MRAD. So MRAD stands for I, introduction. So you really need to put the question that you ask, what are the hypotheses that you tested. Then M, from methods, how was it studied? Results, what was found, what are the tested hypotheses true, or was the tested hypothesis is true? And discussion, also, what do findings mean? So these are the structure of any paper: introduction, methods, results, and discussion. And of course, you need to really cite well. Why I need to cite? Because basically this will give credit to the author, to the people that you count on when getting your research done. And also it will show to the journal that you want to publish that you really did an intensive kind of search and study, and this will really give them confidence that you did your homework and you count on a lot of resources when you did your research paper. Okay, how you can cite? It is very easy. You need just to follow the guideline of the citation style that you want to use: APA, MLA, IEEE. And from our side, we have RefWorks. RefWorks will really help you manage your references, and I spoke about RefWorks yesterday. So when you are writing, there is two things you need really to consider: what we called copyright infringement and the plagiarism. So what is the difference between these two? Plagiarism, I think most of you are already aware of it, is actually stealing some other people's work and just refer to yourself. This is really, really, really bad, because this will destroy your reputation. And also, as a researcher, as a one who would like to contribute to this world and to the science industry and to the research industry, you should be avoiding these kind of stealing from other people's work. Okay? While copyright infringement is basically that you are using some other people program or software or tools without their permission. And this is not accepted. And a lot of publishers will ask you, for example, if you are an engineer and you are writing something about wireless communication and use a specific software to write a program or something, okay, without the proper, approval of the owner of that software, most probably the journal will disagree or will even reject your paper, because they will ask you that please provide some evidence that you have the permission to use this software. So this is very important. On the plagiarism also, you need to know that nowadays a lot of universities, a lot of people are using some kind of plagiarism detecting software. So please avoid this in order to produce a very good kind of research paper. And as I mentioned earlier, in order to help you write your references well, you can count on RefWorks to help you manage your references and your citations. And RefWorks I spoke about it in more details yesterday. So if you remember, I told you about the My Research in ProQuest platform and how you can really just add your documents, the documents that you are interested in, you can add it there. You can add your own notes. And if you find like somehow this is really a well-designed and clear and concise kind of paper, so I can just put these notes and then write and read the paper again and try to take the same structure in my own paper. So this is also good to consider. And this is one of the ways that we can help you and support you while you are doing your research. Okay. Now, the fourth point, follow submission guideline. This is very, very important. So as you know, that you need really to read and you need to know about the journal that you are planning to publish with. You need to make sure that you are following their guideline, and you will be shocked that a lot of people, they will not spend 10 minutes just reading the guidelines from the journal website. So they will tell you about the citation style to use. They will tell you about the word counting. They will tell you everything. They will tell you about their subject. So unfortunately, people will not recognize this and they will not spend time to read these, and they will submit regardless the information mentioned, and they will get rejected. So this is very, very important. You need to make sure that you are really targeting the right journal for you. You really need to use, as I mentioned, a clear language, and you'll be like shocked for the amount of paper rejected because people are really not using a proper kind of English. Okay, their language is very poor, so they were rejected, especially when you are publishing with a journal, with an English kind of journal. And also, one of the things that can help you also by writing a good cover letter, because this will be a message to the journal, and hopefully you will be able to sell yourself, because at the end you are trying to sell yourself to this journal and tell them that my work is really good. So you'll try to convince them by spending more time by reading your manuscript, by writing a good cover letter. Again, as I told you, in order to make sure that you are following the citation styles required from our side, RefWorks can help you with that. And for the people who attended my session yesterday, you saw how easy is using RefWorks and how you can just select your citation style and it will give you the right structure of your bibliography and your citation as well. Now to the final point. Accept feedback and revise accordingly. This is really very, very important. You need to know that most, as I told you before, most papers will get like hopefully accepted, but they will ask for revision, things to be changed. So this is normal. And you need to know that the rejection is really the first step for acceptance. No problem. Do not take this as a personal attack to yourself. Okay, just respect that these people are trying to help me and make me provide a better kind of paper. So I will take their notes, I will respect the notes, and I will revise accordingly. A lot of people, unfortunately, when they receive these like comments and notes, they will just try to see other places or other journals to publish with. They will not just resubmit, revise and resubmit. No, it is better really to just revise and resubmit to the same journal, and hopefully you will receive your acceptance. This is also very, very important. So from our side, these are the things actually I would like to share with you, and hopefully these 5 kind of tips will really increase your chances for getting your paper or your manuscript accepted. And the last thing I want to talk about here is actually the impact of your research. Okay, so what effect does research have within and beyond academia? Okay, how do we evaluate the impact that we did? So it is actually a lot of people, they are actually counting on what we call the bibliometrics kind of impact, which is the citation count. How many citations I received? Okay, this is good. This is good. There is no question about it. But nowadays, there is new things came up. Okay, there's like a new metric is now based on the influence on the internet for your work. Okay, this is called Webometrics. So Webometrics, it will see and it will count the influence on like Twitter accounts, Facebook, and other social medias. And one of the softwares are doing these kind of things is what we call, or it's called Altmetrics. You can search for it in Google. Just go to Altmetrics. You'll see like how many times people mentioned your article or your work in Twitter, on Facebook, and LinkedIn, on social media in general. So as you know, the more somehow mentioned, and hopefully positive mention, of course, it means that I have really a high kind of influence and impact, which is really, really good. So this is just like like a small idea about the research impact matrices that are used in the market today. So this is in general everything I want to talk about. I shared with you the 5 tips for getting your article published. You need to know your field, as we mentioned. You need to really read and identify the right topic. You need to pick the right journal. You need to search. You can count on a lot of places to find the right journal. You really need to write well. You need to make sure that you are using a proper language. Everything is under control. You can ask your colleagues to give you some kind of advices and feedback. Also, you need to follow the submission rules and the requirements of the journal that you are submitting to. This is very important, and you need to respect that. Also, finally, you need to really accept the feedback and revise accordingly. Do not take it as a personal attack to yourself. No, this is really for you to enhance your experience and to make sure that your research is really good and to increase the chances for your research to be accepted. So this is in general everything I want to talk about in today's session. Everything I used in my presentation, I put it here. So basically you can get back. If you need to know more about anything you found during the presentation, you can come and check these references for more details about everything I covered. And I would love now to start taking your questions and see if we can really help you. By the way, I listed here our social media channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, where you can really receive a lot of information about ProQuest and our also activities and our training workshops. So I really appreciate if you can subscribe to these channels to get more information about us. And by this, I can see that I'm officially done, and I'll be happy to accept your questions now. So we can start by questions. If you have anything, Samantha, please. Samantha, I cannot hear you.
Hi, Anas. Can you fine?
Yes.
Okay, so there was the question. Good morning, everyone, first of all. So there's a question on predatory journals. If you can maybe just re-explain that again. And then there's also questions on plagiarism. If you can just re-explain plagiarism again, please.
Sure. So I will start with predatory journals. So as I mentioned, we spoke about the open access publishing. And honestly speaking, a lot of people are seeing that the open access is an easier way to publish, where you can just pay the article processing charge, and the journal will just take your work, it will screen it, and it will make sure that it is accurate, and then they will publish it in an open access platform. So what do we mean by open access platform or journal? That people can just go and read it without the need of subscribe to that journal. Okay? So based on that people will pay to get published. There is some bad people, bad publishers, they will tell you, they will come to you and say, you know, you are a researcher and you want to publish and you cannot find the right journal and you received a lot of rejection from a lot of journals. Come to us, pay us like $100 or $500 or $1,000 and we will publish your work. So they will tell you, we have really an editorial board, they will just work and we will do the peer review process for you and only will publish it if it's okay. What they will do, they will take your money and they will just take your work and just put it in their website. No quality, nothing, no peer reviewed. And unfortunately, this will affect your reputation because if other people, they will know that you published with a predatory journal, they will say that you are maybe a liar, maybe you are a thief, and you just published for the sake of publishing without make sure that you added a really a good thing into science industry somehow. So you'll be in big trouble. This is the predatory journal. And there's a way, as I mentioned, to determine that this is a right journal, a normal open access journal, or a predatory journal, because both will ask for money, right? We said article processing charge. But the open access journal, they have a specific criteria. And to avoid just be a victim of a predatory journal, just use the bills list to determine if in bills list, go to Google and type bills list, and see the journals there. If the journal that's trying to ask you to publish with them was there, mentioned there, that this means that it is a predatory journal and you can just avoid it. Also, you can see some open access, trusted open access databases like Directory of Open Access Journal and ProQuest publicly available content database. So if your journal is there, so this means it is a trusted open access journal and you can publish with them. This is regarding the predatory journal. What was the second question, sorry, Samantha? About plagiarism, right?
Yeah, plagiarism, please, if you can re-explain plagiarism. And then I'm going to give you another question. If
Sure.
you can maybe address the issue of the difference of publishing. There's people are asking where they can find peer-reviewed journals.
Okay. So, yeah. Plagiarism is basically you are stealing other people's work. So you found an article online, you took the same somehow writing, the same idea, and you just did it, and you said to the world or to the people that this is my work, this is my research paper. So when you are stealing from other people's work, this is called plagiarism. This is in very kind of brief kind of description. Plagiarism is stealing other people's work and just say that this is your work. Unfortunately, this will really destroy your reputation, because if people know that you are stealing other people's work, they will just avoid you and you'll be in big problem. And also nowadays, a lot of journals, not a lot of journals, even a lot of universities, they have this plagiarism software like Turnitin, for example, where they will put your research paper and they will enter it inside this software, and it will tell them what are the things that you took, you like copied and pasted from other places. And there is like some rate somehow that if you exceeded the rate, this means that you really copied a lot of information from someone else's work, and this will consider as plagiarism. So avoid taking other people's work, avoid saying that this is your own work, because this will give you huge problems. And for the peer-reviewed journals, so basically there is a lot of places that you count on. As I mentioned earlier, one of the main things that a lot of people are really forget about it is the library. You need to speak to the librarians. The librarians, they studied these kind of things. They studied how you can select the right subject, the right journal, and they can give you some kind of guidance. This is number one. Number two, you can also discuss this with your supervisor, with your colleagues, like you are in the engineering department. Check with your colleagues about if there is any specific journals, highly recommended journals that we can publish with. Also, you can count, as I mentioned, you can count on ProQuest. ProQuest, we have this peer-reviewed option when you search for anything, and it will give you only the results coming from peer-reviewed content. And you can filter by journals and see these peer-reviewed journals. So a lot of things you can use in order really to find the right peer-reviewed journal for you. Back to you, Samantha.
Okay, Anas, I've assigned a couple of questions to you. There's questions about people asking if they want to publish book chapters in books, how to go about for that. And then there's a question on if you can just maybe re-explain Pivot a bit. And then they ask about how can I check the acceptance ratio for different journals.
Okay, so Pivot, by the way, Pivot is a database from us where we collected millions of profiles for people, faculty members, researchers from all over the world. So these information about their interests, their subject fields, and their contact information, where if you need to find a collaborator, some people to collaborate with them, you can use Pivot to search for this. And also at the same time, we list a lot, like thousands of funding opportunities. As you know, there are some places, some organizations from all over the world, they will give grants, they will give the chance for your research to be funded by them. And also there will be like some calls for paper. If there's like any conferences, any places where you can submit your paper to it. Pivot is a database for all these kind of things. At the moment, Pivot is only available for HEC admin office. Only the management office can access Pivot. If you need to access it, please just speak to the HEC admin or management office, and hopefully they will give you access to this database. I can see here the questions. Kindly, where is it? I have more than 50 questions in my Q&A, so it is really hard. If you can, I don't know, Samantha, it is really very hard to go through all the questions. So we can just give me some questions and I'll try to answer. Because a lot of people are even sending directly to me, so unfortunately I will not be able to answer because more than 50 questions I have. Yes.
Okay. So I'll read a few of them. Can you respond to the one for book publishing? If people want to publish book chapters in a specific book, what the process would be, if you maybe know that?
Sure. So basically, there is it is not like this. It is not like you are. When I talk about book reviews, it is different than publishing in book chapters. If you write a book, it will be your own book. It is not like a journal where every chapter is from a different author. This is not right. Book reviews is if I publish a book, you can read my book and you can provide a review to my book. So this is considered book reviews. There is even some kind of databases specialized in this kind of book reviews because it will give some kind of information about this book, which are useful information. So this is how you can do it. And I already put some information about book reviews, by the way, in the list of references that I used. So you will know more about this book reviews and you can even understand it in more kind of way. But again, publishing as book chapters, in book chapters, no, this is not, it is not available. You cannot really publish, or maybe the only way you can do this is by writing a complete book with maybe one of your colleagues, and you can just put your information on a specific chapter. But you cannot books are not like journals, and you can just publish in a specific chapters.
Okay. There's another question. How can I validate or view the acceptance ratio for journals?
So basically, there is some places, honestly speaking, I don't have anything in mind, but I believe there is even sometimes the journal itself, it will tell you about the acceptance rate. And there are some places you can search it online to know for a specific journal, what is the acceptance rate or the rejection rate for that specific journal. So nothing in my mind at the moment, but you can, I believe, find this information online.
Yes, so I can maybe add to the question, Anas. If they go to Web of Science, then they can see the indexing of journals in particular. There's another question for you. It keeps on jumping. Sorry, my apologies, because people post questions in the bottom. If you can please provide guidance for paper publication in the field of quantum information and computation. And there's many others where people ask, in particular in engineering or any specific study field. I want to say to this, Anas, if you don't mind me answering this one, when you do publish, we cannot guide you to the best or to the exact journal that you should publish in. It is your responsibility and to go to your study leader or someone who supports you to find the correct journal to publish in. That will help you if that can help you. And if you're still uncertain, please speak to your peers to review or to support you in finding the correct journal to publish. Another question that came quite a number of times is when they do publish, why is it that that when it's rejected, do they have to resubmit? Yes, I'm an author as well, and it happens a lot of times. It can take any time from 6 to 12 to 14 to 20 months before you even get published, up to 2 years. It's completely dependent on you. Once you start the publishing process, don't turn your back on it. Just keep continuing, even if it means you have to resubmit it again and again.
Yes, exactly. This is very important. Thank you very much, Samantha.
Some of the last questions that people start posting, quite a number of questions came on. Okay, the general questions here is, how can we remove plagiarism? And we think we've addressed that one which is the best site to check plagiarism sites. There are some free ones. We'll share that with you in the recordings when we share the recording slides, and you can direct them to that one. When you share the certificates, we can add a free one into that as well for some free ones. There came in quite a number of questions. Please do not repost the questions if we didn't get to it. There's a question of what are APCs? Is it just for open access or also for accepting the paper charges? Anas, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so APCs is article processing charge, and this concept or this somehow acronym is basically for the open access journals, because the normal journals, the subscription ones, basically they will pay you to add your article to their journal. Okay, this is the normal way. But for the other one is basically, and it is hard to get accepted in that somehow subscription-based journal. But yes, you can do it. You can do it. A lot of journals, they will, maybe inshallah you'll be accepted there, no problem. But to make it easier, because that one is even harder to get accepted in these journals. But to make it even easier for you, you will go for the open access journals, and the open access journals that you should pay them a fees, the article processing charges, in order for them to start reading your manuscript and screen your paper and accept it. And then it will be available for free for other people to read it.
Okay. There's a question about the list of accredited journals that you can publish in. Usually your institution keeps lists of these, so please contact your institution's librarian to support you on this. And then there's a question, Anas, for you, how to use Altmetrics.
Okay, so Altmetrics is actually a website, a service that they will screen the social media sites. They will screen it for some information about specific books, journals, etc. So if, let's say that you published in a journal, your article was published in a journal X, okay, and some people, they mention it in their Twitter account. Oh my goodness, I read the article in journal X and it was amazing. So they will count this, okay? They will count some feedback from people online about specific journals, specific books, and they will give you some kind of chart with all the information about your specific, your research in this case. Or if you found a research paper and you go to Altmetrics, you will find if people are mentioning this badly or in a good way. So the more, of course, like if we are talking positively, the more people are talking about this article or this journal, the better. This means that it is really doing a difference and having an impact. So you can just go to altmetrics.com or Google it, Altmetrics, and you'll find all the information about Altmetrics and how it works.
Okay. There's over 500 questions still in the chat, and there's no way that we will be able to answer all of these questions. So I want to suggest, if you feel that your question is not being answered and that is very valid, please do send us an email to training@proquest.com, and we will respond to you. We're already a little bit over time. Maybe, Anas, just as a final question, because I'm scrolling through the questions and seeing some of the questions that just came in, the difference between what gold open access is and green open access, if you can explain that.
Sure. In the green open access, that you will publish in a hybrid journal. In a journal, it's a subscription based. But for this journal, they will tell you that basically you can take one version of your article, okay, and you can put it freely on maybe the university institutional repository to make it accessible for people for free. Or they will publish your article in their subscription-based journal, but they will make it free after a specific period of time. So they will say that after 6 months or 1 year, your article will be available for free. But not before that. Before that, people need to pay to access your article. This is the green open access. Where the gold open access, no, The open and the full gold open access is basically I will pay the charges, they will screen my work, and then when it's accepted, it will be available completely for free for people to see it and to access it without the need of subscription fees or anything. And there is another model of the gold open access, as I mentioned, that there are some journals, they are subscription journals, but they have some other versions or editions which are available for free, and you will publish with these open access editions of that subscription journal. So this is what we called also open access. So this is, hopefully it is clear. And again, as I told you, when you receive, inshallah, the copy of your the presentation, I already put a link to discuss and to give you more information about open access and about gold and green open access.
Okay. But just finally, Anas, I think we can say about the recording again, the certificates, the slides, as well as following sessions, whatever sessions we will have in the future. And if we did not get to your questions, my humble apologies, our humble apologies. There is just too many questions at this point in time to go through each and every one of them. Please do send us your email to training@proquest.com and we will send you a detailed message. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Samantha. So yes, exactly. So basically, inshallah, I'll be sharing the slides, the recording, and the certificate, inshallah, by weekend or early next week. So don't worry about them. You will receive them, inshallah. This is number one. Number two, questions, mashallah. I'm really like thrilled with more than 1,000 people with us today. So this is really extremely like appreciated from our side. And because of that, we really couldn't answer all these valuable questions. But in case we couldn't answer, please send an email to training@proquest.com. We'll do our best to answer all your questions. Even if we don't know the answer, we'll let you know. We'll discuss with our colleagues and get back to you as soon as we can. So I think by this, I would like to say thank you for an amazing 2 weeks we spent together, for all these 5 sessions we spent together. We will continue to support you. We'll continue to support Higher Education Commission, universities and users, and Pakistani researchers in general. We will continue to do a lot of training sessions in the coming months, inshallah. Wherever we have any training session, we will send a note to every single one of you. Don't worry, you will receive an email, and we will also populate this in our social media channels as well. And as I mentioned earlier, that you can just go to our social media channels, just search for ProQuest MEA, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, where you'll find a lot of information related to ProQuest and even our upcoming training sessions. And it will be our pleasure to support you and support the Pakistani researchers. And we will do our best to really provide more and more training sessions on ProQuest resources and in useful materials as well, and useful information like this, publishing, basic to publishing. Again, many thanks from our heart. Many thanks for really joining my sessions. God bless you, and inshallah we'll meet again soon. One final note before we finish. Once we finish this meeting, this training, you will receive a window will open with a link there. Click on the link. It will take you to our evaluation site. Just please provide your feedback. And in all cases, when I send you the certificate, I will list also the same URL there. So I really appreciate your feedback on our training. And if you think that there is something we can do to improve our future training sessions, please do so by providing your honest feedback. By this, I can say that thank you again. Wa jazakumullah khair. Wa inshallah see you in our next sessions. Thank you and goodbye.